Let's see.
Yeah, we're live.
We're live.
Yep.
1 second. Just want to make sure. Yeah, we are live. Awesome. Welcome back, everybody, to the Cryptocito channel. Here back with another interview. This has been long overdue. Like, we should have made this months ago. Sisla was once on my channel a couple of weeks ago with Splitting Atoms, where we talked about also how OmniFlix adds value to Cosmos, to the Cosmos Hub, and also to Atom. So we talked a lot about also his views there. We have Daya on today for the first time. He's also part of the OmniFlix team. And if you're not familiar with them, this is the perfect occasion because we're going to talk all things OmniFlix today, what it is, how it works, some timelines, obviously the airdrop, right, which is something that everyone's always very excited about. But yeah, first things first, in the chat, please let us know if everything is fine. I think you can all hear us. Sound is good, audio is good. We have the first people tuning in. Hey guys, what's up? People are here. Share this also with some friends, with other cosmonauts, because I think OmniFlix is well positioned to become one of the core NFT platforms within the Cosmos ecosystem, and that's truly amazing. So we're gonna learn a lot about this today. But first of all, Sisla, Daya, thanks for coming on. How are you guys doing? I'm sure you didn't get much sleep in the last few days, right?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. We're doing good, Cryptocito. So definitely, we've had a wild launch, and starting from our mainnet launch with validators, and today with the apps and studio and marketplace, it has been a bit wild, and we are also joyous that it is going great.
Yeah.
Sisla, how about you?
Yeah. Yeah. As I mentioned, it has been wild. And, we planned for the test nets, successfully completed all the 4 test nets and made sure to test most of the things that we intended to take into production or deploy. Like on 22nd, we launched the mainnet. We started working with the validators immediately. We've had good support from Notional, Crypto Crew validators to set up the infrastructure for relays, Crossnest as well, and King Super. There are a lot of validators that have contributed in being able to put this network together, as well as to be able to further set up the infrastructure for relays. So that went very well. And with that, we were very confident to deploy our apps, connected or powered by IBC tokens and connected with other chains. And we launched Studio and the market with Atom and Osmo, with support for Atom and Osmo. So yeah. I personally like to think about it as Osmo getting listed on OmniFlix in some sense.
That's awesome.
Right, like before Flix getting listed on Osmo. So yeah.
No, I think we're right now in a point where Cosmos is truly coming to life, right? And NFTs play a huge role in the whole crypto revolution that we're in, right? Now with the success of Osmosis and with the success of other projects in the Cosmos ecosystem, especially Dexes and a lot of DeFi stuff that we've seen, right? Also Terra, persistence, liquid staking, all these kind of things. There's a whole other part to crypto, which is NFTs, and that is more the space that you guys are in. So we're going to learn a lot about this. We have already 60 people in here. The FLIX fam is in the house. Congrats on the launch. I think this has been very highly anticipated over the past few weeks that you guys finally launched. I think you went through 4, 5, I don't know, 20 test nets, which you guys, I think you broke a record with one of the test nets. We can also talk about this. But yeah. Oh, and this is also a very important question that we'll pick up later, if the token will be listed before the airdrop. So a lot of alpha will be shared. But I think first of all, it would be interesting to hear a little bit of your origin story, how you guys met, how you came up with the idea, how long you're in the Cosmos ecosystem, and what's kind of like the purpose of OmniFlix in the first place.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Shall I take Abhishek? Yep.
Yeah, please.
So yep. So thanks for hosting us at Cryptocito. We are glad to be on the show and talk a lot of details in what we're doing and how we've been doing the same time, the past history, what we used to do even before, we ventured into blockchain. So me and Abhishek, we met like 12 years ago, I believe. So I was, working at a startup where I was leading, few projects together, and Abhishek started as an internship, and then we had a good rapport together. Then we moved on a couple of companies, and then jumped into media later, like few years after. During the media phase, we've explored a lot, tools, and we've come across a lot of problems how we have to faces on a day-to-day, because we work with a studio which used to distribute at least 4,000 5,000 movies from the place where we work from. So we are from Hyderabad, and we primarily come from the Telugu industry, which is so-called Tollywood, which does crazy movies from India. And we worked in a studio that used to acquire content at the same time, distribute onto various platforms like YouTube, and we had our own OTT platforms and things like these. So we had systems in place to scale the productions, and we also had to deal with a lot of creators who used to partner up with us to distribute their content. So then while doing all of these, we've come across a lot of problems, and we've seen a lot of opportunities at the same time with data censorship, things around Web2 has been changing, quite, because there is a lot of information coming, and a lot of it might not be accurate as well. At the same time, censorship might be not good in certain cases where content might as well be good. But yeah, considering all of these, we thought that all of these problems might as well be only solved with Web3, because Web2 certainly obviously drives from centralized point and doesn't give you power to make sure that the community is center of the whole thing. So after this, we quit our jobs from there, and we started working together as a company, which is Cosmic Tech Labs, in 2016. From there, we started partnering up with open source projects, which were launching just back in the den, and we partnered up with them, helped various aspects of developing or doing things around there. Then slowly from 2017 and 18, we started focusing more on our original idea that we had from 2014 at least, because while sidechains were happening on Blockstream, we were pretty excited to discuss get into various aspects of how it can be put onto blockchain. We didn't know that if it was NFT or sort, but definitely we had few ideas of how things can work with a media asset, and it can get into fractionalized with various rights, and things around, like if possible connecting with crowdfunding, and a lot of ideas have been brewing. And then in 2017 we started putting them to test, and at the same time started working with media houses around, helping them to scale their operations and do a lot of things. So in 2018 we first started deploying the tools. Then 2019 Game of Zones, right after just when Corona broke out, we participated in Game of Zones competition, and where we won a best custom zone category, where we demonstrated assets between two chains using a campaign or ad campaign as a product. So from there, yes, we've been bootstrapping ourselves and started building tools. And then starting from I would say April or March of this year, we started our FLIXNet 1, 2, 3. Then we are at the end of FLIXNet 4 and Mainnet right now. So I think Abhishek will get into all of these details of FLIXNet went, and the first one was crazy. Definitely, it was chaos at the same time. A lot of learning. So so that's how we met, and we started working, and
Nice.
Actually, Daya skipped the who part, so he didn't tell like what we did. Of course, we the experience has been shared. So Daya himself, he started working with computers since I think 2005-7, and there was a lot of experimentation, ran P2P torrent sites, and so on and so forth, right? So there.
Definitely, I think,
Right. So this was one of the core experiences that led him to actually work on the OTT platform in 2010, when Netflix wasn't still a thing in India, and we were building the infrastructure for sovereign publishing in that sense, from a Web2 context, right, where the OTT platform is distributing movies, IP. right? And so on and so forth. So this ran well. The organization started to focus on YouTube. So Dan and myself, we met meanwhile, in an independent company. And after that, like we, continued our journey and then met again at the media company. So there we learned primarily about, of course, there was the creative angle to it. That is there, but at the same time we learned the business of media. So when you look at media as such, right, there is the creative aspect, there's the finance, legal, the business aspect, to be able to monetize content, to be able to understand how IP can work. So that is something that was invaluable to us during our experience there. And we still work with the organization. There are partners, they're listed on the website as well. They're Mango Mass Media, and yeah, there's a lot of valuable experience that came out of there. And after that, it was as I mentioned, we started Cosmic Tech Labs. There was an inherent exposure to how we worked with open source projects. You worked with Ethereum first, then realized it won't scale. Then worked with multiple other teams within the core Cosmos ecosystem. Right now, they're all like chains that have launched and so on and so forth. And 2018 was when we formally started what was called FLIX, and everyone thought it was Netflix for free, right? So we couldn't explain the part where free meant freedom and not like as in free beer. But eventually we rebranded to OmniFlix in 2021, and since then, like Unified DAO, that was where we presented first on Jan 13th, 2021, and we've had multiple teams present there. We've had Region, Sommelier, Stargaze, Pylons, a lot of the other teams present there, and personally very glad to see all the teams launched successfully have launched their chains, mainnets now. Proud to tell you that we're part of the list. Until like 10 days back we weren't part, but now we are a part.
It was long overdue. But yeah, it's crazy because do you guys know Komal Jha? She's an actress in India. Do you know her?
Yeah, definitely. She acted in Telugu movies too.
Yeah, exactly. This is because I used to live in India for like half a year. Back in 2013, I was very young. I was like, it's just discovering the world, and it was crazy. I was at the airport. It was like raining, and then I was getting into a cab, and then she was also trying to get a cab, and there were no cabs left. So we shared a cab, and then she told me like, "Oh, she's an Indian like
Actress.
filmmaker and an actress." Yeah, and I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy!" Like the Indian movie industry is one of the craziest and fastest moving industries in the world. I think you guys release like 2-3 movies per day, or I don't know, like in Bollywood and Telugu and like all these different areas. And now I've been tracking her progress over the years, and she's got like millions of followers now. And I think she's doing a few Bollywood movies, but I'm not sure. Haven't caught up with her. But yeah, this industry is absolutely huge. Given your background in this media industry in India, I think that's a great start that you guys have. And now combining that with Cosmos, especially on crypto and Cosmos and blockchain, that's absolutely huge. And speaking of Cosmos, maybe you can share a little bit. You already teased some of the projects that you're also collaborating with. And I said in the beginning also that you had a record with your testnet. So can you share a little bit about your Cosmos journey in specific? How you guys, what value you see maybe also in Cosmos technology, because it seems like you have been one of the earliest ones to adopt it, and also stress test Tendermint in one of the testnets where you had more than 700 validators verifying blocks. So can you talk a little bit about your Cosmos experience and the value that you see in this network?
Yeah. So we started off in 2017, of course, working with Ethereum, pre, 2017 bull run. So, we actually had the opportunity to check out a lot of these projects from inception, idea phase. Unfortunately, we didn't invest into any, but at the same time, we were building, working with the communities involved. Back then we were to an extent collaborating with multiple teams, and later they all evolved into the chains that you Sentinel, Persistence, Comdex. Eventually, we participated in the Akash testnets as well. So this was, even an eventual process, right? It wasn't like, we figured Cosmos one day and we moved. But there was like the Ethereum side of things. Then there were things that you could do with Cosmos back then, right? And then we started to explore Cosmos deeper. And first, we appreciate the sovereign nature of how the entire stack is structured, right? Like that was like number one, right? Because we come from a background where there is a requirement of a specific customization to be implemented, right? But at the same time, we really wanted to take leverage of the protocol, even if it's at a smaller scale, right? Like maybe we were thinking about private chains, side chains, and so on and so forth. But then when the Cosmos stack hit, right, and when it really hit, there was a fundamental, change in the thought process as to how these systems should be structured, right? There was, also ongoing talk about ZK. So public chains could be used for private infra, sovereign infra, and so on and so forth. But private infra, but there was never the sovereign part of it, right? Like it wasn't sovereign enough. So hence, that was how we got into Cosmos, worked with multiple teams, that I mentioned earlier. And our first testnet happened almost 1 year after we started development. And it was like the core Cosmos code base. And we've had like immense support from Jacob personally, right? And a lot of the other validators that are now Genesis validators today, right? And they've been pretty instrumental, as well as the Tendermint stack, the Cosmos stack has been pretty phenomenal in being able to sustain that load. So we started off with like over 936 validators, and then peaked at 771 validators that were producing blocks, on an average between 10 and 30 seconds, right? So that was the start.
So that's massive. Yeah.
Like this was back in July 2021, roughly, right? And it was an 8-day testnet. We didn't want to waste computing power, right? But we've had immense support from a lot of the validators, validator groups, that we interact with on a daily basis today, that validate on multiple networks. A lot of the validators, they mentioned that was their first testnet that they participated in, and they grew from there. We didn't launch, but they grew from there, working with multiple networks. So
yeah, I think as much as everybody loves these validator airdrops, I think especially what Jacob is doing with Notional and their team, like they're truly trying to like secure and advance and improve the Cosmos ecosystem as much as possible, right? And I think it makes a lot of sense to also like support them and delegate a stack of your coins to them. I think Notional is validating on many chains in the Cosmos ecosystem, and he's an absolute G in the space. But yeah, I was getting down to this because I remember when I first heard about you guys, I saw the testnet stats that you have, and then I saw you also the conversations with Jack that you guys have been sponsoring, and it seems like you guys have been everywhere in the Cosmos ecosystem. Like wherever you look, like there's always a wild OmniFlix logo appearing somewhere. And for those who maybe don't know, Sisla and his team, they have been absolutely essential to also make Cosmoverse happen, right? I know Sisla doesn't want to take much credit for it. He's like, oh yeah, we just supported you a little bit. No, you helped a lot with this. So in terms of running the live stream, which was first class, absolutely amazing. All the communication with the tech team on ground in Portugal, even though you're in India and like busy launching your mainnet, really appreciate that. And I hope for this year at Cosmoverse we can do something even better and bigger, because now we actually also have time to prepare, right? So yeah, this is really amazing. Now fast forward, mainnet went live. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of like the past week and some of the achievements and milestones that were now achieved after years and years of hard work and dedication?
Shall I take this?
Sure, take.
Okay, so yeah, as you mentioned, like years of effort went into this, exploring the Cosmos SDK first, the validators, working with Cosmic Validator, then the DAO community tokens, where we work with community tokens on Ethereum to enable staking, stake-gated Telegram groups. This was the direction in which we went, and of course started off the wild idea, demonstrated the first version of it in Game of Zones. That was when like two chains started talking to each other, where an asset was minted on one chain, and the asset moved to another chain to get licensed and be used in a marketplace or in a broadcast environment, that primarily set the base. And now when we look at it a year and a half later, after that, we started working with, of course, from a media standpoint, we started working with Jack, who was very helpful, and he pushed us to make sure that all of this happened. And it was very glad to have him actually bring on board the people that he works with on a daily basis to talk about the things that they normally don't do, right? And these have helped the entire ecosystem to a great degree. I've personally onboarded people by asking them to just watch the series, the playlist. And yeah, it went very well. And that with that, like, OmniFlix established a presence. But of course, we were on the media side. Then our first presence that might have been felt in the ecosystem was during the Osmosis launch, where we worked on the metaverse party, as well as there was the live stream that was on the OmniFlix channel. And we've had an interactive video experience where people had to answer like 13 questions, and they were airdrop tokens, so which were almost $350 of Osmo for being able to answer those questions. And it was phenomenal, the entire part, thanks to Daniela, and the countless others that helped us put all that through. The perception still then was like, we're, from a media standpoint, we're building infrastructure, but no one really knows what products. Then came OmniFlix InSync, which was our collaboration with Juno. That was when it launched. But we also won an hackathon, Agoric hackathon with OmniFlix InSync. And yeah, that probably put us on the map. And even with Juno, right, like it was a community effort. We really loved the effort, right? And from a community standpoint, Juno nailed it in terms of being able to build all that through all the phases of community building. And once that was done, right, like we were of course working with our testnet. And we eventually launched testnet 2, testnet 3, which was when we had NFTs on the testnets. We've had 27,000 NFTs get traded on testnet 3, right? We've had almost 350K worth of tokens that were traded, of which 28% or 30% were IBC tokens, right? They were coming from other chains, including the Juno testnet. All this, our apps, helped us build confidence. But then what happened was we also had the opportunity to utilize the fee grant module, which was just launched in the Cosmos Vega update, right? That was how we believed that we could establish, in a permissionless environment, we could establish some form of curation, right, initially, at least until the token goes live. So now we didn't have the pressure of releasing the token along with our app. Now we believe that OmniFlix is one of those chains where although the token hasn't been launched yet, the validator set and all, but the staked amount, everything is distributed, and the apps have been launched right now. And it is functional in a sense that you still don't need a token, or you can rely on an existing token like, say, Atom, to be able to power your entire network or chain. And this probably serves as a demonstration for interchain security that's to come later, where chains can actually start functioning beforehand in some sense, and then eventually connect with the interchain security module. And there can be a lot of other possibilities. So that the fee grant module research was what Jan was all about. Of course, there was from a health standpoint, the team wasn't well. We've had multiple cases of COVID, and there was some delay. But at the same time, it was like phenomenal, right? Like the entire crew that have been with us since the pandemic, and pushed this forward, right? Like all of those efforts went live on 22nd February 2022. And it was a super smooth launch, right? With 50 plus validators. We've had like under a minute launch. And yeah, right now, last 10 days, we've had the relayer setup, very smooth process. All that was taken care of. Again, thanks to the Notional teams and Crypto Crew validators, and of course the FLIX crew as well. And once that was done, we of course launched the apps. So on Saturday we launched the app for the OmniFlix.studio app for creators to be able to onboard themselves onto the network. And once that was in place, we started. Of course, we launched the Actually, in India, it is still the same day, but we launched the marketplace app just today, right? And yeah, we're seeing good sales, and yeah, we're pretty happy about it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's also the name of the stream is the OmniFlix launch party, right? So obviously there have been multiple launches in the past few days. The most recent one was the marketplace. So can you talk a little bit more about what this means and what we're going to see? Maybe you can also name some projects. I really re-listened your Twitter Spaces from yesterday, where you had a lot of creators and NFT collections that were announced there. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about the marketplace and what's the plan moving forward? Because I think this was just a soft launch, right?
Yeah, soft launch. Right. Can you please pull up my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
That, please go ahead.
Please go.
Okay, so pretty excited to show you all the marketplace. If you haven't already seen, it has been launched, like it has been about 12 hours since the launch of the marketplace. And what we see here are collections from multiple people, multiple types of NFTs. In the first one here is music NFT. We have artwork. We have AV NFTs. There's a PFP project as well, multiple as such. We have Freedom Knots, a collection for Ukraine being worked on by the Notch team, right? Then we have the Cosmocapes. I think their collection sold out, right? Like, yeah, we have 12 items and 12 unique owners, so that's a sellout. Their NFTs are all in here now. I think the tardigrades NFTs are getting listed. So we have a lot of collections that we have planned with creators. This has been ongoing since the last 6 weeks, at least since Jan. And all the coordination resulted in us being able to launch with these projects. So we tried to maintain diversity. We tried to make sure that creators got the opportunity. Some were, this was the first time that they were launching NFTs. For some they were all experienced on Ethereum as well. So we have Harrison First, who has previously launched his NFTs on Catalog, plays on Audius, and he's a metaverse DJ. So he himself has a social token called the First Token, and this is an NFT drop by the First Audio Club, which is an audio club where people can license content from the audio club and utilize in their NFTs. So this is the kind of utility that we have. Then we have generative art-based NFTs as well, right? This is one collection. Of course, from the Notch team, a lot of the cosmonauts already know the Notch team, but they have been pretty instrumental at being able to put together, two collections, one for raising awareness efforts, and the other, their 3D collection, which is pretty exclusive. And we recommend you guys we recommend everyone to be able to check these out. Waveforms is another interesting project where we had details about these are all the waveforms that have been generated out of images from specific pieces of content, right? So these are the images that represent the waveform, represents an actual moment in that specific piece of content, right? And in this case, it is a TV series, Dutch TV series. Then we have the How Rare collection as well, right, where we primarily have so they took the date of atom, the date of the atom going live, I think April 6th, right, 2017. And there they started to utilize that and be able to build up scenes, superimpose on actual photographs, and build up this collection. So we felt that it was a very interesting concept to be actually turned into a memorabilia, turned into as an NFT, right? And of course, we've had other collections as well that are building up their storyline. This is like the Cosmo Aliens collection, Cosmic Aliens collection here is primarily about a storyline being built, and there are only 7 characters that are launched, right? These are aliens that are exploring the Earth. That's the storyline that's building. And of course, we have the cute tardigrades that are launching, and the drop passes are actually going live. So they're doing something interesting as well, where you have block number 222, like 222 being used as a randomizer, right? So the last character, right, of the block, right, the block hash, will actually determine who gets which tardigrade. So there are drop passes that are being sold, but not the actual tardigrades, right? So that is an interesting, way that they came up with, even before we could like build an on-chain VRF and so on and so forth, right? So yeah, pretty excited to see the commitment, the level of collaboration, and the risk to be able to launch on, say, a fairly new protocol. Of course, we've been building in the Cosmos ecosystem, but that doesn't guarantee their NFT sale, right? So whatever we might do, it'll have to be, the entire strategy modeled out well together. So, that to us has been, pretty inspiring, and, we are very happy at the level of confidence and trust that the, collaborators and creators have as well.
Yeah, and if you also listen to the Twitter Spaces from yesterday, you also hear the excitement from all these creators and all these artists about launching their collection, about collaborating with you guys, also launching on your marketplace. I also see, so currently, since the FLIX token is not traded yet, it's not live yet, all the NFTs on this marketplace are priced in Atom, right?
Yeah, currently in Atom, I think some are already in FLIX. So let's take a quick look at the stats. Sorry, some are already in Osmo. Sorry. Yeah, we've had like Cosmo Capes that sold in Atom. We've had Birth of Atom, sold in Atom. These are Atom ones. Let's see the Osmo ones. Yeah, we've had the NatureX. This is a generative art collection. This has been trading in Osmo. So we support currently Atom and Osmo. I just deposited Osmo here, but we have set up channels for 10 networks, and we can start listing each of them pretty soon. So we're looking at creators to be able to start to utilize these tokens until there's a collection that's dropping with a specific token. We don't intend to actually support the token right away, because there's no point up until then, but later, definitely, right? We have connection set up with, of course, Juno, right? Then the Huawei chain, Swift chain, right? Stargaze, Sentinel, Key, Akash, right? Yeah, Gravity Bridge. So yeah, we've started establishing those. Of course, the listing hasn't happened in those tokens.
Yeah, but that's also the whole ethos that I love about Cosmos, that you guys are all collaborating, out cooperating the competition, and just work all together, because eventually we're all in the same boat, right? And we're still incredibly early. But so you already mentioned some other NFT projects in Cosmos, right? Stargaze and then Passage 3D. They launched their marketplace yesterday on top of Juno. So can you talk a little bit about how all these marketplaces, or how all these projects on a bigger picture maybe differentiate, and where you see that OmniFlix occupies a niche that kind of like no one else is right now focusing on?
Right. That, do you want to start on?
Yep, definitely. So one thing that we've been very focused on since OmniFlix launch was that to make sure that any creator who kind of creates the content should be able to monetize well. So that reason being that we named it Omniscient asset. So we want to make sure that creators should have the freedom to move across chains if they want, but at the same time the ability to earn from different currencies is something that we are already demonstrating. So alongside this, we also want to make sure that creators do understand that importance of IP rights. So this is very less spoken in the industry as of now, we believe, because everyone is selling one of one, which is giving you almost certain full rights. But certain creators who are declaring their type of right that they kind of give out only using the description, which is a problem. At the same time, it's an information sort of thing, not a on-chain thing that makes sure that there is an expiry date, or sort of what kind of licensing, or what kind of jurisdiction, if there is restriction as well. So we are a bit focused on that as well, to make sure that we kind of bring in rights and things around IP, intellectual property management as well for the creators, so that they can monetize better instead of just giving out everything at the same time. Instead, they can fractionalize them into various type of NFTs using rights, fractionalization further down using probably languages and things around these. So yep, that's one main focus that we think might be a bit different, because not many are speaking about this in the industry as of now. Yep, it might be ambitious, but we do think that the approach might be the way forward, because when dealing with video and audio, definitely you'll have to speak about IP rights. So it's not something like image where you kind of buy from iStock and you have certain rights to use. But definitely with audio and video and more format of products that might later come in metaverse as well require IP rights. So yep, that might be a key differentiator. But definitely yes, we are more focused on helping creator to better monetize and better distribute.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that makes you guys more of a true media platform and less of just an NFT marketplace, right? I think that could be one route, especially I think for like creators, content creators as well, as things like Cosmoverse, where you have an event that also requires media support on many ways,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
These could all be things, and then you can embed items like a metaverse experience or some sort of virtual experience and virtual items and all these kind of things. So yeah, that's really cool. Do you have anything to add, Sisla, or?
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, right? Like we are looking at IP as the core of what we are doing with OmniFlix, and we believe we are building the infrastructure to be able to put that IP on the ledger, right? So actually, Cito, I wanted to show something. If
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. So what we started doing, this is studio development, the development version, of course, creators have access to this, but the base metadata is always there. But when you're actually minting an NFT, right, there are a few things that you can do differently, right? You select a collection, all that's like the straightforward thing. You can mint directly to a recipient, right? You can mint an NFT directly to a recipient, an account address, right? This is where certificates, tickets, this is the kind of infra that they need, while also being able to restrict transferability, which is being able to provide the ability to have non-transferable NFTs or non-transferable, non-fungible tokens, right? Vitalik talked a few days back, on Jan 22nd about soulbound NFTs. And of course, we released the non-transferable aspect in December itself, on a testnet 3. So these were some of the things that we have been thinking about, right, at a core protocol layer and as a primitive. Now, there are a few other things, of course, like royalties, extensibility is key. So when we look at an NFT, right, the IP, it is not just that the IP itself is being, accessed by people, but the IP is being accessed to be able to repurpose, reproduce, right, in that sense. So when there is a PFP, so as a bottom line, right, it's just do more with your NFTs. When I mean, like, what do I mean when I say that, right? Like, okay, I'll skip some of the things that I wanted to share, but I'll quickly jump into this, right? So when you're looking at NFTs on OmniFlix, right, ideally, there is the Web2 media part, which is the video and the audio, the text and the images part, where you can actually utilize existing media file formats to be able to compose, put a reference of those, put them up on IPFS and put a reference of those as an NFT on the ledger, right? So they can be composed as NFTs. Now there are the crypto native formats, right? Media formats, like a blog post on the chain, right? There might be interactive videos, maybe utilizing Secret Plus, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of these formats that are possible in a true crypto sense. They're crypto native media assets, and these all come with rights. If these are digital assets from a media standpoint, this is one part, right? The other part to that are digital items, where you have objects, it can be tickets, access passes, wearables, and so on and so forth. These digital items, objects, collectibles, they can all be composed as NFTs. Then we have all IP, it can be a marketing growth hack. It can be an idea, a concept for branding. It can be anything. All that IP can be registered in that sense. Currently, no court of law might actually, hold this or be applicable in a court of law. But at the same time, eventually this will be the social norm, right? On chain, or it's false, right? Just like how Instagram, or it didn't happen, just like that on chain, or it didn't happen. I think Balaji said this, right? So this was the idea. And when you look at all IP, you have AI models, as IP. the model itself, the train model itself. You have DeFi strategies. I think Yearn Finance, did a splendid job at being able to put this together. Their YFI token, works with strategists and so on and so forth to be able to, help other liquidity providers, take advantage of these strategies. So all these strategies can be composed as NFTs as well. Now, what do you do when you compose them as NFTs? Right now, what we visualize is, the marketplace aspect, where people can actually go ahead and sell an entire NFT, in its entirety. But you can always go ahead and, these concepts exist, but we are just packaging and framing them in the right way that makes sense. So you can fractionalize your NFT, right? You can break it down into 1,000 parts and have 1,000 owners actually control the direction of the NFT, right? You can always go ahead and divide them into non-fungible fractions, which are your additions. Additions primarily are your, multiple same copy, multiple additions, right? That is when it is additions. If it's a derivative, right, then you have like a bored ape, then there's a mutant ape, into two, there are derivatives. So if it's a video, right, if it's a movie, if it's an audio track, you remix, repurpose, and be able to generate multiple versions, derivatives. Wrapped assets, when the original asset is intact, but there are multiple layers, like say, Tor or something like that happening, where there are multiple layers without actually modifying the original source. So here, these go into what are content pools, which are like NFT pools, right? And here, what you can do is actually license out all your NFTs for use in maybe an IRL gallery, maybe used in a metaverse gallery. Platforms can license AI models, games can license objects. You have your curated broadcasts actually licensing content, IP derivatives, and so on and so forth. And this is where it gets interesting, right? This is where we have the true potential of the entire ledger acting as a single source of truth be realized, right? The full potential is realized. And for these, you'll have to stake your NFTs, right? And only then, so there is like a 90-day staking period. And then only if you stake for 90 days, you can give out access to your NFT, license your NFT for say a 60-day period or 30-day period, and so on and so forth, right? This is like you're collateralizing, over collateralizing, in the DeFi space. If that is one, right, like multiple creators can participate, create these pools, right? Of course, they can collateralize few select NFTs, maybe on Umi, maybe on multiple other chains, right? And utilize those loans to be able to stake, interest yield, participate in governance, network activities, earn a yield, and share it back with content creators, right? So when there is a piece of content that is actually, let's say your Strange Clan NFT or any NFT that might have been within the ecosystem, right, can go into a content pool, can be licensed, can be utilized, and then of course, right, like content owners, whoever has licensed will make money. Whoever has distributed that, like publishing platforms, they make money. And finally, there is revenue attributed to all content pool owners, including the non-fungible fraction owners and the original creator. So this is the entirety, and this is the framework in which we are operating. So where are we at? We are here, right? We are here. So we are just where the NFT and the marketplace interaction is done. We are yet to, of course, build all of this out. Yeah.
So it's basically the entire roadmap visualized in one picture. That's awesome. Is that public? Can you share this, or
this is a PDF? We'll soon be publishing these.
Okay, all right, that's cool. So yeah, I also get a lot of questions around the FLIX token, right, and the tokenomics, and also the incentives and all these kind of things. So how does the FLIX token fit into that whole cycle that you just presented? What's the core utility? Obviously, we already know, since OmniFlix is on its own chain, right? The FLIX token primarily is there to secure the OmniFlix chain, and act as a governance token. But is there further utility and kind of like incentives within this cycle that you just showed?
Yeah, definitely, right? Like, so the first one that's live right now, for example, if the FLIX token would have been live and people would have been staking, there is a small marketplace commission of 1% that is being, deducted on every sale. And what we're utilizing this for is twofold, right? One, 50% goes to the community pool to be able to help build the protocol better. Two, the second part is going to FLIX takers. So we are not swapping IBC tokens for the FLIX token and then giving them FLIX token, but we are making sure that the IBC token itself, goes directly to stakers. So when you stake FLIX, the advantage is that you not only get more FLIX, but also IBC tokens that are earned, right? And this not only applies for the marketplace, but also when there is content being licensed in say Osmo, in say Juno, and some of the other maybe tokens that we never heard of, can actually participate. This is where governance of the FLIX community comes into play, where we start to accept tokens, where we start to make more sense or involve the governance in being able to work with these tokens. Of course, everything is permissionless, but what should be accepted as fees, what should be accepted as commission, and so on and so forth. These are parameters that governance will be voting on from an infra standpoint, right? And all the apps that we build on top of these, it can be any developer that builds on top of the protocol, right? They can take advantage where they register their app, and because they published an NFT, right? If an NFT is actually getting consumed from that specific app, the publisher of the app or the developer also can make money. So in this way, we are making sure all stakeholders are covered. And with just the FLIX token, the power of FLIX is primarily in the stake token, right? So that is when the entire game. It is not like stake gated tools, right? Stake gating, that is great. We understand of the value of building relationships with on-chain relationships with staking, with stake tokens. But at the same time, the power of the network primarily is in the stake token, not just from a security and the governance aspect, but also in being able to participate in the network's activities, right? So if someone holds FLIX, doesn't do anything with their FLIX, I don't want to recommend that, right? They'll have to do something with it. So,
NGMI, not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Can you talk some numbers around the FLIX token in terms of supply, in terms of I don't know, is there already some estimations on what the initial staking APRs are going to be? Obviously, give us a precise price target for end of this year. No, just kidding. Like, is there some numbers that you can share already, like around the tokenomics and rollout, emissions, inflations, all these kind of things?
Okay. This is never public. First time, we haven't shared this ever.
Alpha leaks, guys. Alpha. There we go.
Right. So of course, there's nothing confidential about this. The chain can speak for itself to some degree right now, right? The Genesis configuration. But the max supply of FLIX will be 1 billion, right? And the Genesis supply will be 300 million. So that's where we are starting off, 30%. And 700 million, will be emitted via inflation across a period of 7 years, where you have 100 million tokens being emitted every year consistently, right? So this inflation will be distributed to our stakers, people that stake, to node hosts that actually run the infrastructure. Here we are accommodating for relayer infrastructure, storage node hosts, as well as validators. Then we have the support for creators and communities that end up utilizing the FLIX network, right? And apart from that, there is also the community pool and developer incentives that are part of this inflation, right? If this is the inflation part, right, there is the initial Genesis supply, where we have an allocation, a very good allocation for the drop, as well as being able to reward, incentivize people that have been supporting us, have been early contributors, and have been supporting us since the last 2.5 years, at least in the Cosmos ecosystem and beyond, right? So this is almost 33%. So that's a number. The 33% of the Genesis supply will primarily go towards being able to incentivize the community, being able to reward the community for what they did, reward people, and be able to just get the community to bootstrap, working with multiple DAOs and so on and so forth.
All right, that's good, Alpha. And part of it, I don't remember the exact number, but was it 10-15% of the initial of the Genesis supply is also airdropped? So a lot of people are very excited about this. Obviously, in Cosmos, there's like airdrops left and right. Some of them are pretty valuable. I see also people complaining when they only get $100 airdrop, like, oh my god, I don't even bother to claim them, right? These people, along with people that hold tokens that don't stake them, are also not gonna make it. But what is the game plan with the airdrop distribution? I don't know if you can also already share some rough timelines or whatever, and also in terms of liquidity pools, potential LBP or price finding, or all these kind of like juicy things?
Yeah, definitely. As many might have expected, we will be doing an LBP on Osmosis, right? That is that is bound to happen, and after that we will have the airdrop tokens get released. So before that, they won't be distributed. We'll have to wait for the LBP, but the entire technology stack is accessible for people to utilize. So we had to demonstrate before the LBP. We didn't want to be a token that launched the token, and we didn't want to be a project that just launched the token and maybe did nothing until a long time, right? We were prepared for this. This was what we have been researching for, and we believe that to some extent, I won't say this can set a benchmark, but to a great extent, if this is a model that is adopted and tweaked, it'll be very peaceful, because projects would have demonstrated their technology and their power even beforehand. This is what JunoSwap also did, right? Like, they got active before they started. They have raw happening, right? And so on and so forth, right? This is probably the model that is safe, at the same time has community involvement to a great degree even before the actual token. So we believe this will be good for the token as well, going forward, right? That has been the plan, and hence we started off, right? Like, the launch sequence started mainnet, relayer infrastructure. Once we have that, the apps are being launched. Once we have that, there'll be more details about the token economics. Of course, this video would have given insight into, except for the breakup of the Genesis supply, I think we've shared most insight, right? And once that is done, we'll be aiming to go for the LBP, and after that, launch or release the airdrop tokens. Yeah.
And what's the rough timeline for that, in weeks or months, or
Weeks?
what are we talking? Weeks.
Maybe.
All right.
Maybe single digit, double digit, low double digit weeks, less than that.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So yeah, I think this was incredibly. We're almost at an hour. Incredibly valuable for everybody. Also to formally introduce OmniFlix here again. You've been on the show last I think 2 weeks ago when we talked about the Cosmos Hub and Atom with Jack. Highly recommend everybody to also go ahead and watch this. Also the Twitter Spaces from yesterday where you talked about the all these different collections that are coming to OmniFlix from all the creators, and you can hear their excitement about working with you and building on OmniFlix. So yeah, I think we can wrap it up here. Maybe, I don't know, let's go through some comments in the chat.
Yeah, actually, I had noted a couple. I'll just quickly run through. Teams that are forking the OmniFlix network. Yes, we have partners, game development companies. We have Party Night is the game development metaverse world that are forking the OmniFlix code. Their chain is already live. It went live in December itself, and they've run multiple concepts. So Cito, the metaverse in which we actually did the Cosmoverse event, was built by Gametronics or Party Night, right? So that was the partner that launched last year. Then we have we are working also with the EOC team, Elements of Cosmos team, to be able to work on their chain. We have studios, record labels that are utilizing the sovereignty of the chain, so they're building their own chains in some way. Some tokens, of course, they want to launch on top of the OmniFlix network first, or grow themselves and then launch their chains. So this is the strategy that we are recommending, and yeah, these are the chains that will be forking OmniFlix.
There's also a question on integration with Keplr. You guys also have these amazing dashboards that you provide as a. I mean, you just built a technology for it, but like for Juno, for what is it, Comdex, and also Chihuahua, these OmniFlix dashboards. So what will be the primary way where you can stake and compound your Flix tokens once live?
Of course, we'll start off with the InSync dashboard, which is the dashboard that we've been helping other chains start off as probably the first DApp, or if not the first, one of the first DApps, right? So we built that out of I won't say out of anxiety, but at the same time, out of a necessity to get FLIX token to be staked as soon as it launches, right? And then thereafter it developed. So with Keplr, we are not too sure yet. We still haven't talked, or there haven't been formal conversations. But at the same time, there is the plan, and OmniFlix mobile will be very important. We have our apps actually optimized for mobile, and when Keplr, when the integration with Keplr goes live, we believe there'll be a lot of potential for web apps that are utilizing, the OmniFlix network.
Awesome. Yeah, Josh, if you're listening, you guys should talk. FLIX Tokenomics, we touched upon this. Maybe get back a few more minutes. And alpha has been leaked in terms of inflation numbers, emissions, all these kind of things. The visuals that you shared earlier, are you gonna add this to your website, or how can people find that?
We haven't updated our documentation yet. They're like pretty stale in that sense. We'll make sure to get all the documentation updated and release it to the community.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you, Govinda.
GJ is asking, will you be a direct competitor to Stargaze? Very straightforward.
Yeah, we'll of course out collaborate the competition, and the competition. So it's not a case of us competing with each other.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of things that might be very similar to how we start. The standards of NFTs in some sense are different. The approach is different. The end goal might be able to build the infrastructure, but the nature of infra might change, and so on and so forth. So there'll be a lot of learnings, interactions, exchange of notes. Of course, we're all learning from each other, taking inspiration. Stargaze LBP, set a different precedent in how the LBPs, how LBPs should actually happen. We took a lot of inspiration and started working, of course, on the fee grant module, which is how our LBP will be structured, wrote towards our LBP. So we're learning always, and of course, from a competition standpoint, there'll be multiple people. This is how maybe an osmosis and an UMI can exist in the world, right? So in the ecosystem where you have, these are two DeFi protocols that are building their own versions of protocols to be able to do maybe similar things or different things, right? To be able to take it to the next level of utility within the protocol, at the protocol level, right? And there'll be many. Pylons is one. We have, of course, the Strange Clan team that released their NFTs first. Their narrative is insane, right? And Uptick team, Iris did that. They worked on the multi-chain. They also moved their NFTs to Ethereum, right? We have Persistence team working with NFTs with Comdex, Asset Mantle, so on and so forth. So there'll be a lot, but together we'll out collaborate. There'll be very, there'll be areas where we might have to compete in some sense, but at the same time it is like mutual collaboration as well.
And I think there's enough space on the skies. We're still incredibly early, so I agree. 30 grades NFT in the house, saying Sizzler is the man. Thank you for all you do for us also as creators.
It is a lot of creators that interact with me. That's the only thing, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's the entire team. I'm just like, representing the team.
I mean, like, you're doing a fantastic job. I think that's.
I mean, of course, I'm sure like there's a whole team behind you, and I experienced it personally when we did the Cosmoverse, right? Like Diane and everyone involved, like an absolute
live wouldn't have happened without Daya in that sense. I think that's those aspects. So
but it's you guys have been constantly delivering and also getting the feedback from the community, which I think is super important. That's why I'm excited to do this also here today. And I hope there will also be a lot of follow-ups to this stream, where people join your channels, ask questions directly to you maybe, or want to even launch a collection. Because I think interaction and engagement directly with the community is so important and oftentimes underrated and forgotten in crypto, right? Everybody wants to launch their token and have fancy cool NFTs or whatever, a cool name of their coin and fork this and that. But they forget the community aspect, and community is really what drives value, I think, in the end of the day. So keep up that engagement, keep up the pace, and I think you're going to be very successful, like Super is saying, FLIX-tastic. So that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for being on. Is there any final words that you want to share where people can get started, get connected with you in the first place?
Yeah, I have something to say even before that. Firstly,
Okay,
thank
go
you,
ahead.
Cryptocito. Thank you, Liam, the Cosmos Spaces gang. Everyone that's a crypto rich. Everyone's actually contributing to the Cosmos media ecosystem being able to promote, spread the word. Right. This is like very key. Right. We can
I mean,
build.
educating, yeah.
Yeah.
Educating people, on the basics is very hard, than, probably sometimes to do the code, because it's straightforward and computers don't ask, too many questions. And, it's a very, fantastic job you guys have been doing. Yeah, I mean, definitely, thanks for doing all of these to, make sure that ecosystem grows further.
Growth. Yeah. And we are also like trying to promote the aspect of utility where NFT projects can potentially with their IP educate people to be able to utilize their IP to be spread awareness of the ecosystem within the ecosystem and even beyond, right? So these are some of the things that we are personally which are close to our hearts, and you guys have been executing on these, right? So definitely huge shout out. And Cito, like you've been running the validator as well, collaborating, but it's a kudos to your efforts in to be able to stay involved and to take it to the next level, right? We might see, definitely I think with Liam we're seeing the aspect where creators are dropping their own NFT collections, right? Stella Vapor. And these are some of the things that we really appreciate when people get involved, right? Even the IBC gang, Cosmos Spaces, everyone got involved like that. So huge shout out to all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of ideas when it comes to NFTs. It's just time-wise extremely hard to execute on these ideas, but yeah, we'll see where things are going. Also with Cryptocito, Stakecito, right? There's like endless NFT opportunities that you can think about, but yeah, for now we're still focusing on the core, and yeah, once things get more routine, I think. On my end, because I'm also like, I just been to the Denver conference, met also with the persistence team and the Comdex team, and it's always great to meet people in real life. But then you get out of that routine, right? So I want to get back to my routine and travel a bit less. But yeah, this was amazing. Thanks for doing this. Follow. I just dropped the links here to the Twitter, to the
Yeah.
OmniFlix site as well. Is there any
Right.
other link that I should shill?
Yeah, actually we'll include the
Marketplace?
links in the description, but just as a reference, people can start off by actually visiting the OmniFlix studio first, getting their fee grant. So when they verify with their Twitter, they should be able to get the fee grant, so they won't see the tokens in their wallet account, but there is a fee grant allowance that's given. So every transaction that you do, the gas is, fees is automatically paid for by the app itself. So this is a way in which we started off, onboarding. And this is OmniFlix Studio. All this happens on OmniFlix Studio. And then collectors can go to the marketplace and start depositing tokens and so on and so forth. We're working on, a few things, ledger integration and so on and so forth. So if you're using a ledger to access the marketplace, please note that, it might have issues right now, but in a few days' time, they'll be sorted. Our in-sync apps, staking dashboards, they've been, undergoing some issues and updates as well. So we are updating them. So yeah, please check them all out. We'll include the links in the description.
Yep. And I also just dropped it in the chat box to the 110 people that are watching live right now. So yeah, appreciate it. If you find this valuable, then share also a link to this video on your Twitter, tag us, share it with friends, share it on Telegram and in groups, right? That's also a good way to raise more awareness. So yeah, thanks again for coming on, guys. I really appreciate it. It's really late for you right now, isn't it? What's the time?
It's just
It's
midnight.
UTC. Yeah, it's
Midnight?
exactly 12:10, but we are active
1:10.
in UTC time, so
Yeah,
so
you're active in every time zone, I think. I'm in PST, so here's 10:30 a.m. and you're in 1 a.m. So that's wild. You should catch some sleep. And yeah, we'll look forward to see what comes in the next coming weeks, and watch out for the LBP,
Sure.
watch out for claiming the airdrop, obviously. Play around with the product. Maybe if you want to drop a collection, OmniFlix is the place to go. And yeah, we'll keep in touch, and we'll see much more of you guys in the future, I guess. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Take care, guys.
Yeah,
Yep,
take
take
care.
care.
Amazing. See you.